Okay, so let's start with today's lecture. What we did in the last class, or what we are continuing the study, was speed control of starting of induction motor. Okay, so how the starting were done? For we had studied for squirrel cage induction motor, we had reduced voltage starting and full voltage starting, and under reduced voltage starting there were three different methods. One was auto transformer, one was reactor starting, and one was start delta starting. And now today's class we will mainly discuss about starting of wound rotor induction motor. Now your wound rotor, what is the use of starter? We had already studied, and you know by now that it limits the starting current, primary function, and other coils are present over there. The overload coil, the under voltage coil, it disconnects the circuit when there is a overload in the circuit. If there is a under voltage, it disconnects the circuit. That is what extra functions that can be given in the starter to help the motor. Okay, but main function is to reduce the starting current. Now why we were going for those methods in the previous cases, adding some auto transformer with the supply or adding reactor with the supply, because there's no provision in controlling the rotor resistance. The rotor resistance was fixed over there. So that's why we were going for the those methods in which we were controlling the supply voltage itself, and thereby the torque and current was getting controlled. But in wound rotor induction motor, we have a provision of adding external resistances. So by use of those external resistances, what we can do, we can bring the current to the nominal value. Suppose at the starting there is a high current. So if I use 5 resistors at the end, suppose, so I will use the total of the 5 resistors at the starting only, because in series, if it is connected in series, all connected in series. So I'll take the total of the 5 resistance. So as resistance will increase, my current will decrease. Now slowly as the induction motor moves into the running condition, so we'll cut off each resistance, means step by step. So first resistance is cut out, then how many resistance will be there? 4 resistance. So because of that 4 resistance, somewhat current will increase. Then next what we will do, we'll cut out the next little bit, and speed is increased. So then what we'll do, we'll cut out the second resistance. Now 3 resistance will be there, so current will slowly increase, and at full load condition or running condition, it will current will achieve full load current. So that is how we can do these things. No, so this is a very simple and cheap method on by adding rotor resistance in your wound rotor induction motor with full line voltage across stator terminals. So we are not controlling any stator side. Previously what we had seen, we had controlled the stator side voltage, and accordingly we control the current and the torque. But now the stator side, but now the stator side is directly connected to supply. There is no, we are applying full line voltage across stator terminal. What we are controlling is the rotor side resistances. So what will be the use of the resistance? There are three use of resistances. One is decreasing your starting current, it will increase your starting torque and improve your starting power factor. All this relation with the rotor resistance has been studied. You can go through it, how these factors are increased or decreased. You can go through it and understand this. I'm not discussing in detail about this. Now what happens over here, we had discussed in the first lecture only, the slide that was showing in the prior to this, that how this rotor windings were done. This rotor windings were connected to slip rings. So three phases through three slip rings which are mounted on the shaft. So these are the three slip rings, three rotor windings connected to each of the slip rings. Now external resistances are brought into contact to this slip rings by means of brushes, and obviously proper insulation should be present between all this, the slip rings, brushes and all. So this is how the connection is made. That is my third point, which is written over here. Now at the time of starting, what will happen, as I give an example, if there are 5 resistance, all the 5 resistance should be connected in a circuit, because if there's an increase in resistance, the current will reduce. So that's why it is written at the time of start, the entire external resistance is connected to the rotor circuit. And as the rotor speeds up, and as the rotor slowly reaches the full load speed, the entire external resistance is decreased. So as I told you, one resistance is cut first, then the second resistance is cut down, then the third, then slowly all the resistance is cut down as the rotor reaches your full load speed. So external resistance is decreased slowly as the rotor speeds up, and the rotor motor torque tends to remain maximum during the accelerating period. So we choose the value of Sm only, we try to keep the value fixed as Sm. Okay. And under this normal condition, the external resistance is fully cut off, that I have told you. At the last, what will happen is a full load condition and normal condition, all the resistance is fully cut off. So external resistance is fully cut off, and slip rings are short circuited so that the motor develops full load torque at low values of slip for which it is designed. At the end, all the resistance is cut off. This slip rings are itself shorted between one another. If the resistance is not there, so this will be shorted between one another through this path. Now, now the next thing what comes is generally a problem comes from here. How this resistance are to be designed? Means what value of resistances are to be taken in order to design the starting of your wound rotor induction motor. Okay. So if I consider one phase only, that will go for other two phases. So we have taken only one phase over here. Okay. So we have taken only one phase and connected the resistances as follows. So R1, R2, R3 all are connected like this. These are called your studs, means connection point. First, all the resistance will be connected, so the handle will be at 1. So R1, R2, R3, Rn minus 1, Rn all will be connected to this. So current will be limited. Next, the handle will move to your position 2. So now one resistance is cut out. So now the total resistance will be R2, R3, Rn minus 1. Now slowly resistance decreases, current increases. That is what we will discuss over here and find out all these values pertaining to this diagram. Very important this is. We will also solve problems regarding this. So if I take a winding over here, it will have some internal resistance and also some leakage reactance. Let it be R2 and X2. Okay, for calculation purpose, since we are considering the whole circuit as a resistive circuit, we will eliminate that factor of X. We'll see later it is written over there, all those things which I'm telling. So X will be eliminated, so I'll consider this as a whole resistive circuit. So R1 starting from R1 to R2. This will N2 over here. So that's why I've written consider resistance R2 and leakage resistance X2 for one phase of the rotor of the WRIM. Now, if you are taking all this for one phase, similar goes for the other phases also. R1, R2 to Rn be the resistances of the N resistance elements or sections. So how many sections you have taken? 1, 2, 3, 4 goes to N. So these are all the resistance of the sections. And what is R1 dash, R2 dash, R3 dash to Rn plus 1 dash? Be the total resistance in each phase of the stator. It means if I calculate R1 dash, so R1 dash will be summation of this. If I calculate R2 dash will start from R2 and end at this small R2 over here. So this is what we are telling you. So R2 dash gives the total resistance from this 2 point start 2 to the end. R1 dash gives the total resistance of the start 1 to the end. And these are the sectional resistances R1, R2, R3, Rn minus 1, Rn, and this is obviously your rotor resistance which will be included, small r. Okay, so this is a circuit which is connected to one phase of your wound rotor induction motor. Now we are going into calculations. How to do the calculations? Now what we have to do, we have to calculate the equivalent resistance from starting. That means it will start from connecting this R1 back to our small r2. Okay, at the starting the whole total resistance will be connected. So I will start from start 1, then go to start 2, then go to start 3, and goes on to Rn plus 1. Okay, and N plus 1 dash. Okay, I'll change the naming. See over here, this is R-1. I have used R1 dash. Don't go by this naming. These are same. Okay, just understand it. Okay, so R1 dash over here, what is the resistance of it? So if I calculate the equivalent resistance start one, that gives me R1 dash. So it is R1 plus R2 plus R3 dot Rn minus 1 plus Rn plus small r. Understood everyone? So that is what is written over here. R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4 plus Rn minus 1 Rn to small r. Next, if I calculate your R2 dash, from R2 dash what will be? So R1 will be eliminated from the above equation. So whatever the equation I have written for R1 dash,
আর
only
টু থেকে শুরু হবে।
হ্যাঁ R2 থেকে শুরু হবে। ওর জন্য আমি
হুম।
R1 টাকে রিমুভ করে দিলাম। জাস্ট সেম ইকুয়েশন লিখে দিয়েছি দেখো, we have written the same equation, only it starts from R2 to capital R2 to small r, and this goes on R3 dash capital R3 to small r. And if I calculate at this point Rn plus 1, this n plus 1 start, only this R2 remains. এই অবধি already calculation হয়ে গেছে. If I calculate the equivalent resistance R dash n plus 1, what I'll get? Only R. That's why it is written over here. Okay, so this is what we need, the first basic formulas of our calculation, which will be requiring later. But understand this, at each start what will be the value of resistance, and that's why we are telling at the first start, because it is maximum resistance, the minimum current will flow. Slowly as the speed goes on increasing and it reaches normal speed, normal operating condition, the resistances are cut down and the current is allowed to flow to normal full load value. Now, few assumptions are to be made while doing the calculation. What is it? At the starting time, when the motor is starting, a constant load torque is assumed. Okay, load torque is constant. We have to drive, suppose 10 Newton meter of load torque, that we have to assume is constant. Okay, if your load torque fluctuates, then your current will also fluctuate. So everything will go on changing. Okay, your resistance will go on changing because torque, current, everything all are dependent. So we have to consider a constant load torque. Now, stator leakage impedance and its no load current are neglected. That's why I have told you this X2 part, the leakage impedance, stator leakage impedance, and all are neglected. Okay, this rotor leakage impedance is also neglected. All impedances are neglected, and it is considered as a resistive circuit. And the current, because of this resistance which we are changing now, first the resistance, total resistance was this one. Second, the total resistance for this one. We are thinking that the current is fluctuating between 2 points. One is I1 max, I1 minimum. So I1 max, I1 minimum, then I1 max, I1 minimum. This is for making the calculation simpler. Okay, if you take like in power electronics, we have done. We have taken some minimum and maximum value, specified those minimum and maximum value. So it will be very easy for our calculations. So that's why this last point is made. So if you want to, we will fluctuate the current between 2 points. One is I1 max and I1 max. Now we'll use this figure only in the next slide calculations. Now at the starting, okay, at this time of starting, when the handle is at start one, the rotor has a circuit R1 dash. Okay, as soon as we give the supply, as soon as we give a supply, there will be some minimum microseconds for this R1 to come into action and bring the current to a lower value. Okay, so the current at the starting will be I1 max. So at this starting, this is I1 max, and I'm considering at this starting my slip is S1. Okay, and we will see later also, because it is the starting condition, S1 will be equal to 1, because it is starting, at starting we know slip is equal to 1. But for now we are considering a slip S1. So as soon as we give a supply, a maximum current flows and the resistance brings the current to a lower value after some microseconds. So that's why at starting we have taken I1 max at some slip S1. Now that I1 max, how will you calculate the current? V by Z. Okay. Okay. Uh, sorry. Stator leakage impedance is only neglected. Okay. Rotor leakage impedance they have considered over here. So stator leakage impedance is neglected, and no load current is neglected. So there is no XM and RC. So there is no X1, nor there is no XM, there is no RC. Rotor resistance is impedance is considered, and they have considered the current flowing through this using this X2 also. So I1 max. Okay, what will happen to I1 max? So I1 max will be voltage by the impedance. So voltage by impedance. So what will be the impedance when it is a start one? It will be R1 dash, right? So R1 dash has this full value over here. I'm not going into the formula. What will be the value of total resistance as uh, start one? It will be R1 dash. Okay. So V1 by R1 dash divided by S1, you know this equation, R by S, V by R by S plus X square. So R1 dash by, what is my slip? S1 whole square plus X2 whole square. Now, as soon as the resistance comes into function, as soon as this total resistance comes into function, at the starting, for some microsecond it will be max, but as soon as this total resistance comes into function, the current will reduce, the current will go on reducing. So it will reduce to which value? I1 minimum. So at this point, what is the value of I1 minimum? So at this point, what is the value of I1 minimum? Okay, so I1 minimum becomes V1 by root over R by S plus X square only. Now at this point, if you see, the slip is S2. Okay, because your speed is changing, your slip is also changing. So your slip is S2. So your slip becomes S2. The slip becomes S2. Okay, so R1 dash by S2 whole square plus X2 square. So this becomes I1 minimum. Now this is the first stage done. Now if you look into this figure, at this point the R1 is cut off. Now slowly the speed increases, that means my R1 has to be cut off. Now what will be the total resistance? R2 dash. That means my this formula, I am not again going into what formula is written over here. I am just understanding the diagram. Now my handle is at start 2. What should be my equivalent resistance? R2 dash. Now at this point only where R1 is cut off, so R2 dash comes into function, we are considering that as a very fast change. So that's why there is no speed change over here. Otherwise, if you take a slant line, then slip will obviously change. So I'm considering this change to be fast. So there is no speed change over here. If R1 is cut off at this position, okay, I'm neglecting that microsecond delay over here. If R1 is cut off over here, R2 dash comes in, becomes the total resistance. So that at that position the slip remains constant. That means my speed is constant. So this also occurs at S2. So when the slip is at S2 with R1 cut off, again my current has reached to I1 max. So my current now I1 max is V1 by R2 dash. My total resistance is R2 dash. My slip is now S2 whole square plus X2 square. And then again, for some microsecond, it will remain over here. And then as the total resistance come into function, it will reduce the current to I1 minimum. So when this I1 minimum is reached, what is my slip over here? S3. So this continues like this. Okay. So now this equation becomes V1 by R2 dash by S3 whole square plus X2 square. This continues so on. As we go to start 3, what will be I1 max? V1 by R3 dash by S3 plus X2 square. Okay. And what will be I1 minimum? V1 by R3 dash by S4 whole square plus X2 square. So this continues on. So that is continuing. You can write it for n number of times, but don't need to write. Now, since we have taken this consideration over here, all maximum points are same over here. Now, all maximum points are same over here and all minimum points are same over here. We are considering. So that's why you can say that all this maximum calculated I1 max, I2 max, I1 max because of R2 dash, because of R1 dash, because of this I1 minimum. Okay, I1 maximum because of R3 dash. All these are same. Similarly, you can write for I1 minimum also, all are same. So what we are doing is equating this 1, 3, 5, all the max terms. So equated it. So V1 by this formula, V1 by this formula, V1 by this equal. Okay. Now, if we check the equation, if you go on writing equal to up to n plus 1, if you go on writing this equation, if these are equal, what has to satisfy? It has to satisfy this condition. See, V1 is same. X2 is same. What has to be similar in order to make all I1 max same? R1 dash by S1 should be equal to R2 dash by S2, should be equal to R3 dash by S3. This all have to be similar. So that's why my next point number 7 is written an equation where R1 dash by S1 is equal to R2 dash by S2 is equal to R3 dash by S2 goes on to R2 by Sn. Okay, so this has all to be similar. Now, if all the resistances are cut off at this point, at the last stage when all the resistances are cut off, so that is the stage Sn plus 1. So that is nothing but at which I am considering the torque is happening. What is means the maximum torque is happening, or slip at which maximum torque occurs, or the torque at which the load is driven. So that's why the full load torque or the maximum torque, if I consider at that point, is considered to be the last stage. Okay, if Sn plus 1 is the last stage of when the resistances are all cut off, that is nothing but equal to your Sm. So Sm is equal to Sn plus 1 is the slip under normal operating conditions. So Sm they have considered under normal operating conditions, the slip, where all the external resistance are cut out. So that means the last slip that was developed. So last slip that was developed is Sn plus 1, and at which the motor is to be operated, I have thought as Sm. So Sm is equal to Sn plus 1. Okay. And at that point, and the input is I1 max again, I1 max. So again it will fluctuate out from here, it will go to I1 max. So at that point again I1 max is reached. So at Sn plus 1, when all the Rn is cut off, again I1 max is reached. So this is at this point. So that's why this point is written over here, Sn equal to S1 plus 1. At that point, what is the current? I1 max. Now from this above equation, from this equation number 7, we can write like this, we can cross multiply like this. So I can write S2 by S1 is equal to S2 by S3 by S2. We'll cross multiply it, S2 by S1, S3 by S2, Sn by something. Okay, that's why I've written it over here. So S2 by S1 is equal to S3 by S2 is equal to S4 by S3 is equal to Sm by Sn. Like this we can write all this equation equal to, if I cross multiply for this, if I'm multiplying this one S2 on the other side, so R1 dash will be brought in this side, bring S2 in the left side, R1 dash on the right hand side. So what you will get? R2 dash by R1 dash. Next what you will get? R3 dash by R2 dash. So that's why this all things are written over here is equal to Rn plus 1, R dash n plus 1 by Rn dash is equal to R2 by Rn dash. You can solve all this and get this, and this whole are equal and considered to be a value alpha over here. Now this alpha is a very important calculation which we need. So next slide what we'll do is calculate your alpha. Now okay, total resistance dash is equal to S. Okay, now from equation 7, okay, from equation 7, so can I write R1 dash is equal to S1 by Sm into R2? So from equation 7 I can write R1 dash is equal to S1 by Sm into R2. So R1 dash is equal to S1 by Sm into R2, and at starting, what is S1? The slip at starting I told you. So slip at starting is nothing but 1. So I can write R1 dash is equal to R2 by Sm. Okay. So from equation 8 we can use R1 dash is equal to R2 by Sm, and from here we can use the value of alpha. So I write R2 dash is equal to alpha times R1 dash? Can I write R3 dash is equal to alpha times R2 dash? Yes. So all these things are written. R2 dash is equal to alpha times R1 dash. R3 times is R3 dash is R2 dash alpha. What is R2 dash? R1 dash into alpha. So substitute R1 dash alpha over here. So you'll get alpha square R1 dash. So that is all the things that is written over here. All the equations are written at the list of R2. So if I calculate, my things will be, you should remember your R1 dash formula is R2 by Sm. Then you can calculate your R2 dash, R3 dash goes on, because This will be all dependent upon your alpha. See, R2 dash is alpha times R1 dash. R3 dash is alpha square R1 dash. So you remember in terms of R1 dash only all the formulas. Now, from 8 and 9, from equation 8 and 9, if I compare equation 8 and 9. So from the last equation over here, R2 is equal to R1 dash alpha n. So from here, what is R1 dash? From 8, because we are using 8 and 9, what is R1 dash? We have to calculate R2 by Sn. So that's why R1 dash over here is replaced by R2 by Sn is equal to alpha to the power n. Now, this R2 and R2 cancels out, so Sn goes in this side, so alpha to the power n is Sn. So can you calculate alpha? Alpha is equal to Sn to the power 1 by n. This n is number of studs which we are using. We'll see it how many while doing problems you can understand in a better way. So first thing, okay, I'll tell you in the next slide. Next, what we have to do, we had calculated our stud resistances R1 dash to R4 dash and all, and calculated our alpha. And then what we'll do, we'll calculate the individual resistance. So if you recall this diagram, we had already calculated this R1 dash, R2 dash, R3 dash. All this equivalent value is calculated. Now what we need to calculate is R1, R2, R3, Rn minus 1, R2. So very easy calculation. You just see the two equations, R1 dash and R2. If I subtract R1, R2 dash from R1 dash, I can get R1. Right. So if I do this, all the subtract each and every one from the next one, then we'll get a value. If I subtract R2 dash from R3 dash, sorry, R3 dash from R2 dash, what will be remaining is R2. Since we had calculated all these dash values, R1 dash and all, we can easily calculate this. So R1 is R1 dash minus R2 dash. What is R2? R2 dash minus R3 dash. What is R3? It is R3 dash minus R4 dash. If you have already calculated all these values, you can go by this formula. If you already calculate this value R1, you can also go by this formula, alpha R1, alpha square R1, whichever is easy to remember. Okay, if you want to remember it like this, it is easy, no problem. If you want to relate this formula and remember like this, this is dependent on alpha, this is dependent on alpha square, goes on increasing. So over here also see, it is dependent on alpha, if it is dependent on alpha square, alpha cube, and goes on increasing. You can remember it like that also. So R1 dash is R1 dash minus R2 dash. Okay, so what is R1 dash over here? So R1 dash, what is R2 dash? R1 dash alpha. So R1 dash minus R1 dash alpha. Take R1 dash common, you will get 1 minus alpha. R2 dash minus R3 dash. Okay, so what is R2 dash? R1 dash alpha. Substitute over here. Okay, keep R3 dash. So what is R3 dash over here? R2 dash alpha, right? So substitute over here R2 dash alpha over here. So take R2 dash common. So R2 dash is into 1 minus alpha. What is R2 dash? Alpha into R1 dash. So R2 dash is replaced by alpha into R1 dash. This is how all these formulas are written. You can go through it later and understand all the formulas. So I'll tell you in brief what has to be done. First thing, always you remember, you have to calculate this alpha. This slip has to be determined at which the normal operation is done. It will be given in question or you have to calculate. Then what we have to do? We have to after calculating slip or given, we have to calculate alpha. Then calculate our R1 dash. Then if you want to calculate, you can calculate your R2 dash, R3 dash, R4 dash. All this should be calculated. Then go for calculation of your R1, R2, R3 goes down to Rn. So all this calculation should be done according to the step. First slip, then alpha, then R1 dash, all the dash values means all the stud resistance values, then all the individual resistances values. All these points are written over here. So you can go through. So we'll go into a problem. So what is written in the problem we'll first study. Calculate the values of resistance element of a 4-step stud. So 4 steps are there. I mean, a of starter elements of a 4-step starter for a 3-phase 400 volt wound rotor induction motor. The full load slip is given 3% and the maximum starting current is limited to its full load value. And rotor resistance, that is R2, is given 0.01. So if it is a 4-step starter, okay, so there will be number of sections will be 4. So N will be 4 over there. Okay, so N will be 4. So what? And the full load slip is 3%, and also the maximum starting current is limited to its full load value. So at this full load value only maximum starting current occurs. So SM is equal to SFL only. So SM is equal to SFL equal to 0.0. So directly over here we are getting the value of SM. So we don't need to calculate. Next problem we'll see, we have to calculate the value of SM. Okay, so that's why I have taken two different problems. Okay. Next, what we will calculate the value of alpha. So alpha is equal to Sm to the power 1 by n. So alpha is equal to Sm to the power 1 by n. So 0.03 to the power 1 by 4, that gives you 0.416. Okay, step by step I am telling you. Alpha, then S, then alpha. Then I told you we have to calculate R1 dash. What is R1 dash? R2 by Sm. And R2 dash is alpha times R1 dash. R3 dash is alpha squared times R1 dash. So this goes on. Okay. R1 dash is equal to R2 by Sm. Okay. So R2 by Sm is 0.015 by 0.01 equal to 0.5 amp. Now, you can go for calculation of this R2 dash, R3 dash, R4 dash, because I told you to calculate R1, R2, R3 in two different methods. If you calculate this R1 dash, R2 dash, R3 dash, R4 dash, no problem. Then you have to follow this method. R1 dash minus R2 dash is equal to R1. R2 dash minus R3 dash is equal to R2. But if you use this formula over here, R1 dash is calculated. Okay. Now, if you use this formula, R1 dash into 1 minus alpha into it gives you R1. And all this R2, R3 are all dependent on R1. So you don't need to calculate this R2 dash, R3 dash, R4 dash separately. So you can go by the second method also. By calculating R1 and go through this process. Whichever suits best for you, you can do it. You can calculate all the dash values and calculate R1, R2, R3. You can calculate only R1 by this formula and then go for this second formula. See, the first method will be little bit extra. You have to calculate all these values. But in the second method, using R1 only, you can calculate all this. So whichever is best for you, you can go for. So over here, I have shown by only by calculating your R1. So what is R1? R1 dash into 1 minus alpha. Okay. So this calculates out to be 0.292. Then what is R2? What is R2? Alpha times R1. So alpha times R1. 0.5 into R1. What is R1? 0.292. 0.29. Got this one. R3. What is R3? Alpha square R1. So alpha square R1. What is R4? Alpha cube R1. So you get this value. Or you can use another formula for shortcut. You can use, since this is alpha cube R1, can I say this as alpha into R3 also? Alpha into R3, right? Alpha square R1 into alpha gives you alpha cube R3. So this is nothing but alpha times R3. By this is also a reduction formula. So R2 is equal to alpha times R1. So R3 is equal to alpha times R2. R4 is alpha times R3. You can do it like this also. Or if you can use your general formula. I have shown you three different methods. Which one is suitable and which one is you can remember, you can do it. Now, at last, you have to perform one check. What is that check? This formula. You have R1 dash is equal to R1 plus this formula plus R2. So you have to check whether all the values calculated over here, R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4 plus small r2 is equal to R1 dash. You have to perform this check. I have not performed, but I have written this over here. You have to do this. You have to add all this 3 plus 0.015. It should be 0.5. Okay. Please take care of this. Lastly, you have to perform this check. Okay. Next problem. Design 5 section starter. So there will be 5 resistances. Okay. Here was a 4 section, 4 step starter. That means 4. 4 step means 4 sections only. Okay. And there is a 6. When it is told in steps, then you have to consider n equal to 4. Now here it is clearly specified there is a 6 start and there is 5 sections. So number of resistances, individual resistance will be 5. Full load slip is again given, SFL 2%, and maximum starting current is limited to twice the full load current. Now there is a condition given over here. Okay. Now all calculations are done at lower values of slip. So if lower values of slip are considered, then S R2 by S will be very small, very large, because S is in the denominator compared to X2. So this can be neglected. X2 can be neglected. So square root of the square terms leaves you with R2 by S. So what becomes I2? I2 becomes E2 by R2 by S. So S goes in the denominator. Sorry, numerator. Now if you write in terms, hello, হ্যাঁ বল, hello, আচ্ছা পরে বলো, এটা অঙ্কটা করুন তারপর, ঠিক আছে বলতে পারো, হ্যালো, আচ্ছা at low values of slip. Okay, so I
এই যে স্টার্ট বলেছে, স্টার্ট মানে কি?
এই যে স্টার্ট গুলো যেগুলো দেখাচ্ছিলাম, স্টার্ট গুলো মানে কানেকশন পয়েন্টস, এই পয়েন্ট গুলো স্টার্টস। এইখানে যদি হ্যান্ডেলটা থাকে তাহলে সব রেজিস্ট্যান্স কানেক্টেড হবে। এইখানে যদি এটা হচ্ছে স্টার্ট, এখানে যদি হ্যান্ডেলটা থাকে তাহলে from R2 to this small R2 it will be connected. These are connection points. Well, connection point. ধরো একটা সুইচ আছে, এরকম একটা সুইচ আছে। First it is connected to this stud. That means this whole resistance is there. Then this switch is connected to this stud. Yes, connected, connection. ছটা ওরকম স্টার্ট আছে এখানে কোশ্চেনে বলছে, আর 5 সেকশনস আছে, মানে 5 রেজিস্ট্যান্স আছে। তাহলে I2 is equal to E2 by R2 into S হয়ে গেল from this function. So if I write in terms of full load current, that means if the current is full load, my slip will be full load. So I2FL is equal to E2 by R2 by SFL. Now maximum starting current is limited to twice the full load current. Now if this current becomes twice times, so twice, so maximum starting current will flow, so which will occur at SM. So now instead of writing I2FL, what I've written twice I2FL, because that is my maximum starting current, and that times what will be the slip? SM. So this equation becomes twice I2FL E2 by R2 into SM. Now you know I2FL is equal to E2 by R2 into 0.02. Substitute in terms of I2FL, keep this value over here. See, that's why I've written, substituted this I2FL by E2 by R2 into 0.02. তাহলে 2 into E2 by R2 into 0.02 equal to E2 by R2 into SM. This E2 by R2 cancels out. So 2 into 0.02 gives you your SM. The SM equal to 0.04. তাহলে you can calculate your alpha. Alpha is equal to SM to the power 1 by n. So 0.404 to the power 1 by 5. That is 0.525. Then next calculation R1 dash. This is R2 by SM. So what is R2 given? 0.03. আচ্ছা এখানে per phase দেওয়া আছে, যদি বলে 3 phase resistance, that means you have to divide it by 3. If যদি ঘুরিয়ে দেয় প্রবলেমটা, if the problem is given little bit tougher, though they can say you total rotor resistance is 0.03. So per phase rotor resistance will be divided by 3. So keep that in mind, otherwise the whole calculation will be wrong. So R2 by SM is equal to 0.03 by 0.04. Okay, not 0.04, sorry, it will be 0.525. I'll correct this and send to you. Okay, so this is 0.04 divided by 0.03 divided by 0.525, and all the resistances are calculated accordingly. R1 dash is equal to R1 dash into 1 minus alpha, R2 is equal to alpha R1, goes on, and over here it will be R5, again another typing mistake. So R5 will be alpha to the power 4 R1. All calculations are done, and at last one check you have to do: R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4 plus R5 plus a small r2 gives you R1 dash. So you have to check this last, then only all these answers are coming correct. That thing you have to check. So if maximum starting current is limited to full load value, then the full load slip is only taken as SM. If not, then do this calculation and calculate your SM. Without your SM, your alpha can be calculated. See the steps. Whatever step I have told you, you have to follow that. First S calculation, SM, then alpha, then R1 dash, then individual resistance. And at last you have to perform the check. So 5 steps in problems of starter related to wound rotor induction motor. Last duto slide just go through it as application where the squirrel cage inductions are used, motors are used. If it is a low resistance motors, it are generally used in fans, centrifugal pumps and all. And if it is a cage motor with high rotor resistance, it is used in compressors, crushers, reciprocating pumps. Okay. And if it is having a high value of rotor circuit resistance, it is used in your lifts, elevators and all. So these are the basic applications of your induction motor. And at last a comparison between induction motor and synchronous motor. So if you have seen the induction motor, it has a self-starting torque automatically, but I don't know whether you have studied till now in synchronous motor or not, but you will study it later also. It doesn't have any self-starting torque. Okay. Now synchronous motor, according to the name only, it runs at synchronous speed, so speed is constant, but over here speed is variable, means as the load goes on increasing, speed falls. Induction motor, you know, it is a single excited machine. Synchronous machines, you know, it is a double excited machine. AC is fed to the rotor and DC is fed to the field, so double excited. This induction motor only operates at lagging power factor. Synchronous motor can operate at both leading and lagging power factor. Induction motor speed control is possible only in case of wound rotor induction motor. Synchronous motor is under normal circumstances, it operates at synchronous speed, so generally we don't talk about speed control. And in this case, we had also seen maximum torque is dependent on square of supply voltage. When you derive the equation for synchronous motor, you will see it is dependent on supply voltage only. Over here, it is dependent on square of the supply voltage. This is dependent on supply. That's it. This is for today's lecture. If you have any doubt, you can tell me.